So this is just I don't even consider this a podcast.
Yeah.
This is just a medium where we get to talk about things where people aren't talking about nowadays, you know? Or they are talking about it, but they don't have a platform to do it, or they're being censored.
Yeah.
You know?
Which we might experience because we're just trying to open up the conversation, open up the dialogue. Like you said, give people avenue to say what they think and about anything, about current events, things that are going on in the world right now, and more personal issues, you know, that we go through as individuals, men and women.
Yup. Starting with, I think the thing that's on everyone's mind right now is how to process this curfew that just came into effect. How are you processing it right now? What's going through your mind right now as the government is telling you where you can and cannot be?
This doesn't sit well with me at all. Like it makes me feel uneasy. The fact that now I'm not allowed to step out of my house after a certain time. Like who is like I'm paying taxes, I'm giving back to society, I'm working, I've paid my dues, and you know, you're telling me for the betterment of our society in this pandemic that I need to be at home at a certain time. It just doesn't sit well with me.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't see how this is for the benefit of the pandemic and coronavirus and these variants. I just don't see the connection. As if, you know, Omicron is pulling out at 10 o'clock. Like,
so you're saying, like, for you, it doesn't feel justified?
Doesn't feel justified at all. I think there's steps we could have taken before this or other than this that would give people more satisfaction, that would help the actual situation a lot better than having us stay at home. What, like, where I don't see the sense that this makes to help with the virus.
Yeah, and for me, it's crazy because, like, I feel like a child. I don't know if you feel what I feel, but like, I feel like a child. Like, like the government is my parent and telling me like you can't go out. Like you're on what's it called again?
A curfew.
What is it called when your parents used to tell you have to like stay in the house? What's that called again?
Oh. What do you mean stay in the house?
Remember when your parents would put you
on lockdown?
Yeah, like lockdown, but it's I forget what it's called. I actually forget what it's called. When your parents say like for 2 weeks you can't leave the
grounded.
House. Grounded. I feel grounded. I feel grounded.
Yeah.
Because bro, it's like again, I was telling actually a dude from the apartment building that I'm having a hard time processing this because a part of me wants to do things like this, right? Get online and share my opinions with people, right? And actually get this dialogue going, right? But then another part of me is like, I have to combat the impacts this lockdown is having on me. And what I mean by that is when the government actually has successfully isolated us, a part of our spirits are just oppressed. And we don't talk to one another. We're afraid to share our opinions, and it's something like even for me, I have to resist that I guess temptation to
say what you think.
Exactly.
Yo, this is crazy. To not, and it's at the end of the day, it's to avoid certain problems. You know, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Like, for example, the place where we're working at, some people will come and they'll be passing through the apartment doors. And they want to stop and have conversation about, let's say, COVID and vaccines. And they're like, oh, you know, these people are so selfish. They should take the vaccine, if not for themselves, for the betterment of other people who are getting sick or not to occupy hospital beds or whatever. And you're just sitting there like, well, I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But you see, this is interesting because what you said before was that you thought that it didn't warrant this, right? The lockdown, right? This virus doesn't warrant a shutdown, but to the majority of people, it does.
Yeah.
Those people, right? Yeah. So those people are like, I'm scared. I'll do whatever the government tells me to stay safe. So-called what the government says stay safe, because they're setting the terms, right, of what safety actually is, right? So they're saying if you're not doing XYZ, you're out of the like the bounds of safety. So for the majority of people, it does warrant it. But for people like us, I'm such a libertarian in this aspect, where I'm like, if I want to go out and get sick, that's my right. Like if I have a choice, take the risk to go see my family or stay safe and stay in my apartment, I'm gonna take the risk.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that risk.
Yo, we take a risk every day just getting in our cars.
Yep.
You know, we're these boxes of metal propelling ourselves through air.
Like Jim Rohn, everything's risky. Remember?
Yeah.
Everything's risky.
But it's true. And it's my choice if I want to take a risk and go on a car and possibly get in an accident. People get in accidents every day, just in Montreal.
Yep.
It's my choice if I want to take a risk and use my life savings to start a business, you know, and potentially lose out on that or invest in something. Like that's my choice. Why is this any different? The 10% of people who are not adequately protected from the virus, we're all making that same decision. So we're not getting vaccinated as a collective. What does that have to do with the people who are quote unquote adequately protected? If you're protected, what is the worry? You know, how is our decision to take that risk affecting the people who are taking preventative things to avoid that risk?
I'll answer that question. Playing devil's advocate. The government is saying what we're as unvaccinated people doing is we are number one, flooding the hospitals. They're saying that 50% of people hospitalized.
The 10% who aren't vaccinated are taking 50% of the beds.
That's what they're saying. Yeah. And then secondly, they're saying that we pose a risk to them because I hope everybody by now knows if they're vaccinated that they can still catch COVID.
Yeah.
Right?
So then,
which doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if you've seen the memes. The memes of saying like, so the unprotected have to protect the protected people because their protection didn't protect you. You ever see those?
I didn't see that, but I seen stuff like that.
Bro, how does it make any sense? But that, it's crazy. Like literally what you just said, right? What are we doing? Well, we're the unprotected, not protecting the protected from the protection they took. And we have to all be in lockdown. It makes no sense, right?
It doesn't.
It absolutely makes no sense.
Coming out of isolation for 10 days, I really started to think about, what about the people who are catching COVID who already have comorbid issues, health issues, I don't know, lungs, heart disease, whatever the case may be. And these people need kind of a consistent checkup on them, making sure they're doing good, making sure they're taking what they need to take. And now they catch COVID and now they're in this room by themselves. No one can come see them. There's no kind of plan to kind of sustain them as they're sick, and they have to wait until they're about to die to go to the hospital.
Right. Just to be put on a ventilator. Just
to be, and then convinced to get a job after this. How, in my head, it's like there's no like, we're trying to help you. We're trying to protect you. We're trying to complete steps before getting to that final step. And you're alone. You're alone. Like, you'll die by yourself.
That makes no sense.
Nobody's there nobody
which
can
is sick,
even
which
come.
Is sick.
Yeah.
Honestly, and this is a whole thing of fear. It's like when you have enough fear, I really see it so simply in my mind. Like there's a meter of fear. When that fear reaches a certain level, do you know how much you can get away with? Like in any situation. And this is what manipulators, I'm sure they look at this information and I'm sure it gives them like a rush of excitement, people who are okay with manipulating people who don't have a substantial moral compass. They see like, man, if someone is afraid enough, you can get away with so many different things. Yeah. And police do this tactic, right? They'll play like good cop, bad cop, where they'll try the good route, right? We could do this one or two ways. We could do this the easy way or the hard way. right? And the hard way is usually initiated by fear. Like, I'm about to do this to you. Okay, I'll talk, right?
Yeah, trust.
And I'll rat someone. I'll lie. I'll even say I did it just to not have to go through what this person's saying. I'm gonna have to go through.
Trust. That's interrogation tactics.
Yeah, and this is just how I see it. It's like when you have enough fear, and there was a quote, and man, I wish I could remember who said it because I have it in my laptop, and the person who told me this quote, and I went to verify it, actually took it out of context.
Okay.
But the quote was, basically like, this guy is saying like, we wanted to get the world to go into one direction, and we thought that climate change would fit the bill because it would make people scared enough to follow certain rules and regulations. And it's just logical. When people are afraid, you can make them do things. It's just a very logical thing. And right now, this fear is just so irrational. Yeah. You know, it's unbelievable.
Because what is the danger that they're saying? Like, if you don't do this, this, and this, you're gonna die. It's basically what they're saying. Yeah. Like, this is the ultimate fear. It's the same thing. It really reminds me of certain religious groups, like Jehovah's Witness, for example. Like, growing up with that was the fear we had in our head the whole time. If you don't do X, Y, Z, when the time comes, the rapture or Armageddon or the end of the world, you won't be part of the people that are saved. It's only who we consider faithful witnesses who are gonna survive and make it through to the other side. And that traumatized me as a child. Of course,
that's spiritual trauma.
That is trauma.
That's like a parent telling you, if you don't do everything perfect, I will forever disown you.
And they were good at this too, because just mentioning that reminds me of other stuff they would do. Like, let's say they catch you doing something, and now they're like, okay, they're gonna put you in a room. They're gonna tell you, are you repenting for what you did? You know, did you do what you did? First of all, you got to admit it. And it's like, do you repent for what you did? And if you don't, they tell you, they kind of do tell you this in teachings over time. You're gonna get cut off from the pack, and your family included can't even speak to you. Like, this is the kind of fear people had in their minds. They're like, I'm gonna be literally an outcast, like, if I don't get my act together, right? You know, and it's the same thing.
Mr. Legault just said in the press conference, he said one of two things is gonna happen. For the unvaccinated, you're either gonna get vaccinated or you're gonna get sick and most likely end up in the hospital. So you pick and choose. And I just quoted word for word what he said. Yeah. I might have gotten one word wrong from what he said. This was on the press conference a week ago. Wow. He's like, what? And that's crazy. Wow. Because he's literally saying, like, oh yeah, and by the way, to you 800,000 unvaccinated people in Quebec, you're either gonna get vaccinated or you're probably gonna end up in the hospital. Yeah. Like, who do you think you are, bro? Yeah. Like,
why are you going to tell me my health? I've been taking care of myself for how many years? You want to come in last 2 years and try to tell me I'm going to get sick, I'm going to go to the hospital? Like, no, unless I do what you tell me to do to save my health? No.
And that's not working on the last 800,000 people. Like, we were just talking about the Second World War, right? So many times people retaliated against Hitler and they thought their retaliation was going to make him stop. It did the opposite. It did the opposite. It fired him up more. Wow. So it's like, for the 800,000 people who are not vaccinated, we've made a decision. Yeah. Like, I lost my job because I chose not to get vaccinated. And there's so many other people who made the choice, conscious choice. I will not get vaccinated for XYZ reason. Right? And if you get on television and tell your citizens who pay for you to do your job, who elected you, to say, to the unvaccinated people, you're either going to get vaccinated or you're going to end up in the hospital. Like, I'll never vote for you, sir. Ever. Again.
But the funny thing is, Quebecers like this guy. They actually like this guy. And I'm just like, where is the appeal? I don't see the leadership. I don't see the wanting the good for the people. I just feel it's...
Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Legault is, and they said it like more than once in their press conference, in North America, we have the strictest rules and the strictest restrictions concerning COVID and lockdowns.
Quebec?
Yes.
Wow.
And I said this before I even heard them say it. And some people were like, oh man, Omar, I don't know if that's true, if Quebec is actually the harshest. And I watched the press conference and they admit it. We have the harshest rules. And so, to your point, or to your concern that Legault is not a leader, people are saying, yeah, but look at all this strict rules he's put in place, right? And not arguably, it's just a fact, he has implemented the harshest restrictions, the earliest. Like, if you look at the world, we're up there with the strictest rules. We have mandatory vaccines right now for not just one industry, like a huge portion of jobs in Canada, right? What is it? Federally controlled companies, schools, restaurants, gyms. Like, it's gone to the point where the next step is it's compulsory vaccination.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can't do these things that once brought you comfort and convenience. They're taking it away.
And so it's unbelievable, bro, how it started with a mask, right? And I don't know if I told you this story, but one of my brothers told me, you know, Omar, if they're just gonna ask me to wear a mask, if that's all they're gonna ask me, I'll wear a mask, man. I'm tired of these people like making a fuss over a mask.
Sure, I was one of those people.
And I was like, you're right. I was like, you know what? You're right. It's just a mask. And I kind of looked at myself a little like sideways, where I was like, I've been making a fuss over a mask. I was like, you know what? He's right.
They kind of make you feel like you're overthinking it, or you're overreacting. You know,
but like, it's true though. It is just a mask. It's just a stupid little mask. It's absolutely true. Yeah. If you ask me to wear it for 8 hours, that's a different story. But if I have to wear a mask to go into the grocery store, it's not that big of a deal, but it is still against my right, because I should have the choice to decide what I wear on my body. As long as my private parts are covered, and in a store it says you have to wear a t-shirt, you have to wear shoes.
No shoes, no service.
Exactly. Yeah. Or no shirt, no service, or whatever. Okay, so if I have a shirt, pants, and shoes, I can be served. Yeah. But now you're telling me I have to put some form of restriction in front of my airways, which is literally what's keeping me alive, is inhaling oxygen. It's not a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I could wear a shirt or not wear a shirt. I'll still survive just fine. Yeah. Right? So a mask is like, whatever. But then it starts with that conditioning. It's like, it's just a mask. Yeah. Then what was after the mask?
Washing your hands.
Social distancing in public places, keeping your hands sanitized. Now it's not just a mask, and no one likes wearing a mask. No, I have not met one person who enjoys wearing a mask. Yeah, no one. It's just,
especially the more the heavier masks, N95s and things like that.
It's not comfortable.
It's horrible.
It's just not comfortable. You feel like you can't talk properly.
You can't hear anybody. You know what's a interesting thing I heard from one of my teachers was the fact that the mask and all this covers a lot of body language that people are exhibiting, like the mouth, the eyes, stuff like that. People with autism actually freak out at this.
That's crazy.
Because they can't read you. They're like, yo, like they're hearing a voice, but they can't process it, you know? And I did find that interesting. Yeah, that was...
I actually heard, and again, I'm not going to state this like it's true, but a really credible person, if I'm not mistaken, it was Peter McCullough on the Joe Rogan podcast. So he's like a top renowned doctor in the United States. He's worked with patients like with COVID. He's a cardiologist. He has the most published work in the medicine field in history.
Wow.
So he's like a top doctor. And if I'm not mistaken, it was him who said like this mass formation psychosis is like getting everybody in line, and supposedly this mask has to do with like keeping people in check, almost like I don't know if you heard about this. They showed pictures back in the day with how they used to control people by like covering their face, because it would like almost like dehumanize them or something.
It really does way. Though. Yeah,
it does, and I can tell you firsthand. I'm sure you can too. When you wear a mask, you something's not right with your vibe, with how you feel. Yeah. You're like. It makes your jaw move in a weird way to support the mask. Like, I don't know, to keep it off of your lips or something. It's just weird.
I think the best word was dehumanize. It does. It's such a huge or major part of your face when it comes to communicating with other people, reading their lips, smiling,
breathing,
all this stuff, and then you're just kind of looking at their eyes, and you're trying to get the message from their eyes, and it also kind of makes everyone looks it's a disconnect. It kind of makes everyone look similar.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And
you can't distinguish who's who.
You can't, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it starts with the mask, right? Mm-hmm. Then it goes to now every 6 feet you have to be hand sanitizing, right?
Yo.
Dr. Peter McCullough said, he's like, he said it's a joke when he sees people like spraying down tables and stuff, because he said the virus it's an airborne virus. It's not crawling on tables and on your hands. He's like, it's an airborne virus. It's not in your hands. It's not like dirt that you put your hands in dirt.
That's crazy.
So it's like, it makes no sense. And
wow.
And even me now, I very rarely, I only wash my hands when I usually wash my hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my hands were getting super dry and just unhealthy, and I'm like, I'm not with that. So it's masks, hand sanitizing, social distancing, then lockdowns, then curfews, then voluntary vaccinations, then mandatory vaccinations. So
mandatory testing too.
Mandatory testing. And there's so much more. There's so much. Now you can't go to restaurants, can't go to gyms. I lost my gym membership. So it started with it's just a mask, right? You're right, it's just a mask, right? And then built up to the place where it's now. What is the likelihood that it stops there?
It's not stopping, man.
And let me ask you this honest question. Can you even envision a society now without masks?
See, that's a good question, because not really. I can't see them going back on this.
Walking that back to the first thing, right?
Yeah, like
walking back all of that. Social distancing, lockdowns, curfews.
Like, okay, everybody, like
back to normal.
No.
I doubt that.
People have been saying, the end is around the corner for the last 2 years. We just got into 2022. It's not looking like it's not slowing down. It's not backtracking at all. It's getting worse.
Yep.
We went from voluntary vaccines to double vaccines.
Let me ask you this question. Yeah. What got worse? The virus itself or the restrictions?
The restrictions, but also the message that they're sending about the state of the pandemic, which I have to say I'm a little skeptical on what they're actually saying and what's actually happening. Because it's not like back in the day when there was plagues and, mass pandemics and things like that. You would see it. People on the street are sick. Hospitals are flooded. And maybe I'm wrong about the hospital. I don't know. But I work in the hospital sometimes, and I'm telling you, I can't even tell you where the COVID people are. I would assume they're in an emergency, or maybe they have a COVID, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I see the stations where you got to wash your hands. I see all the signs. I see all the propaganda. I don't see the sick people. I really don't.
And so, to play devil's advocate, there would be some nurses who would say, yeah, but I do see it. Right? Okay, but what are you seeing? Are you seeing a person who was always going to die from COVID? Because Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Malone, who was the original inventor of the mRNA original vaccines back in 1980s. He was one of the original inventors of the patents surrounding this vaccine, one of the inventors of it.
Oh, wow.
Right? They're saying this virus is treatable. Mm-hmm. So pretty much everyone who went on the ventilator died. It's like over 99%. So if I'm at home and I'm dying of COVID, I could barely breathe at this point, and they're telling me, we got to get you into the hospital, I know what's happening next. They're going to put me on some oxygen, then take me to a next stage of oxygen, and last stage is the ventilator. It's clearly not working.
This is why I'm like, even if you're a nurse or a doctor and you're saying, I'm seeing these patients, how in your mind are you because they're treating this way different than they would treat anything else.
Exactly.
Why are you guys all of a sudden throwing logic out the window?
So check this out. Dr. Robert Malone, on the Joe Rogan podcast, this guy, like, it's insane. He really pulls back the curtain, dog, like on another level. Because this guy is one of the inventors of the vaccine, like one of the mRNA vaccine, right? So he knows how this works.
Can you break that down for everybody that probably doesn't know mRNA? What is that?
It's basically
I
a
don't know
type
either.
of, well, you know, DNA.
Yeah.
So it's RNA,
Yeah.
which I don't know what the R stands for, but
Yeah.
basically it's the type of vaccine that's being used for COVID right now.
Yeah.
So so from what I'm hearing, it's not necessarily, because it's not a conventional vaccine. Conventional vaccines are not mRNA. So mRNA supposedly is like more of like a therapeutic, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Because it's something, it's like what's it called? A flu vaccine where you take it every year.
Yeah.
Whereas a conventional vaccine like hepatitis or malaria, you take it once and you take like a booster and that's it. You're good for life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but we already see with this vaccine, it's something you're taking over and over and over. So is that a conventional, like tetanus, right? Tetanus shot. If you step on a rusty nail, you take a tetanus shot and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't take it again.
Yeah.
mRNA, from what I'm hearing from these guys, is something it's more like a therapeutic where it's something you got to keep taking, like the flu vaccine.
Like a flu vaccine, yeah.
So mRNA, I don't understand exactly how that works in the DNA, but supposedly it could be very dangerous. Anyways, so this guy is saying, he's really pulling back the curtain, saying that this is a treatable disease, right? With you know, Joe Rogan talking about ivermectin and hydrochloroquine and what's the other one? I think it's remdesivir. It's like these things, and again, what's his name? Dr. Peter McCullough was saying like there absolutely is a multi-drug solution to treating patients before they get to the hospital. So listen to what Dr. Robert Malone said. And these are not my words, because we all had a suspicion that this was going on, but Dr. Robert Malone put it out there, okay? And they're trying to like take away his license because he's speaking up. And he's actually saying, I'm standing up for what's right. And that's insane. Like, it's just amazing to hear people saying that.
Dr. Malone is also a media doctor, like
nope. Oh, no, none of them are media doctors.
I thought that's what he was.
No, man. These guys are the ones like getting attacked. Like they're not in the media. They're just speaking up in the forums they have with other doctors, and they're going through the grinder. And he said basically there's a financial incentive for people to be tested positive and to be put on ventilators and to ultimately die by COVID.
This sounds exactly like cancer, man.
Check this out. He said, this is crazy. Guy comes into the hospital with a bullet in his head. You know what they do? They test him for COVID.
Oh no.
And if he has COVID, guess what they say he died of?
From COVID? Yo, but we know this though. Bro. We know this.
That's scary, dog. Yeah. That's another level, like, dog, when you realize, like, this is the stuff that's going on, I'm sure there would be so many people who are saying, like, yeah, okay, yo, chill. Don't go so far to make these big claims. And trust me, I'm not the one trying to make that claim. I would never make a claim like that because I don't even know where to begin to find that kind of information.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm so happy that Joe Rogan interviewed these guys. Dr. Robert Malone, this guy is, like, one of the inventors of the vaccine we're dealing with. And he knows, like, it's all about the money. And so there's a financial incentive for hospitals to say that people are dying of COVID, they have COVID, and even put them on a ventilator. They're literally making money. That's I cannot begin to understand where that starts in terms of, like, let's say you follow that rabbit hole, where it goes.
You mean the medical industry taking advantage of society?
Yeah, like, how would you benefit off of someone going on a ventilator? Like, and then
like, ultimately, where the money's I think it's in the form of kickbacks. You know, for first administering vaccinations, but I guess it's the same thing. Like, I don't know what company is providing these ventilators or, you know, chemotherapy or whatever, but for them to buy the machine and then to have people use it, there has to be some sort of kickback deal that these hospitals and the companies are profiting off of.
The only thing I could possibly think of is the more people are afraid, the more people will take a vaccine. So if I could pay you to make people afraid by putting people on ventilators, then I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But basically, he's pulling back the curtain saying that there's more wickedness than you even thought, right? It's just crazy that, like, you don't need to be like some ultra, you know, aware person to know something is going wrong in this world right now, especially with this COVID. And I'm convinced that most people know something's not right. Yeah. But I guess there's so much, and most people would admit it, that there's so much uncertainty and just people don't know how to address it, you know?
They don't know how, and I feel that they don't really want to address it. A lot of people don't want to address it because we've just been in such a advancement, such a comfortable state of life right now where people don't want to ruin that. People don't want to be like, well, I can't, like people are already ready to get a vaccination just so they could keep doing the stuff that's convenient. Like they don't want to be like, yo, something's going down and we got to step up and we have to do the hard thing. They don't want to do that. They want to keep living their low lives, which I don't blame them. I don't blame them. But they say hard times create strong men create good times, and good times create weak men, and the cycle keeps going from there. Because now weak times are going to bring bad times, weak men are going to bring bad times, and now we're going to need strong men again. But this is just where we're. This is what I'm perceiving right now, as far as people not wanting to admit there's something going on, because there's something. There's something. I'm not saying it's a grand conspiracy. Maybe it is, but there's something going on. There's no way these people landed on that much money by accident.
The vaccines, you're saying?
Yeah, the vaccine.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's insane that, again, and I'm thinking that, like, I checked the numbers, because he's saying 10% of people are not vaccinated. So I went and checked the numbers. That means that's 800,000 people. And I'm thinking, like, so you have the majority of people who are vaccinated and you have 10% of people who are not vaccinated. At what point, like, are they just going to be like, we'll just leave the vaccinated people alone?
No.
Because no. if they imposed, which they absolutely did, this vaccine on everybody, on every living thing. They're vaccinating animals against COVID. So they're vaccinating everything. And what's crazy,
just jabbing everything
just
up.
everything. And what's crazy again is that with any medication, you always, whenever you're advertising medication, which is crazy, you advertise medication, you always say the pros and the cons. They're not doing that at all. Yeah. Every solicitation to this vaccine has been extremely one-sided.
Yeah.
Only one-sided.
Yeah.
Go find 10 media stations that will be like, go get your vaccine, and just count how many out of 10 or 100 will say side effects include hypertension, irregular heartbeat, myocarditis, swelling of the lymph node, whatever the case is.
Please consult your doctor before taking Xerox.
Exactly. Whatever the case is. But they say that, but before they say consult your doctor, they always list out possible side effects on anything.
Exactly.
On anything.
People make fun of that so much. Like the list be so long for the side effects. And it's like, it's only fixing like this one thing. Like, I was giving you shoulder pain. Okay, this will fix it.
Right.
But,
all these other things, I'm not going to take it.
Yeah.
So they've been imposing this vaccine on these people for so long and in these press conferences, more than once, people ask the question, like, why is it that you're putting the vaccinated people under a lockdown? Shouldn't it just be for vaccinated people, for unvaccinated people? And actually, Mr. Legault said, no, we don't want to create a two-tier society like that, because that would...
Yeah, but really, they are, though.
Yeah, in some ways, but they're not ready to take that step. And they've made it very clear that compulsory vaccination is on the table, which is crazy for me to even hear, because I'm like, how are you even saying it's on the table like that? That's like a disrespect to us as citizens, because it's like, you're telling me that's on the table? You're telling me forcing me to take a vaccine is on your table? Like, what? Show me this table. What else is on the table?
Yeah, trust.
Because that's crazy.
Yeah.
So many times, so they said, if we have to go there, we will go there, but we're not there just yet. So it's like, so it is on the table.
Damn.
But they're just not there yet. They're just not ready to do that.
They're taking it easy.
Maybe because there's still about 1 million unvaccinated people. But what if that number drops to 400,000? Maybe the risk of pushback is not going to be that hard with 400,000 people spread out over the province of Quebec. Maybe in Montreal, you're going to have, 100,000 unvaccinated people.
Yeah.
What's the odds of them all coming downtown and causing some huge problem? Not really high.
Yeah.
That might be a chance they're willing to deal with. But 800,000 is still a lot.
Yeah,
That's still a lot of people. That is still a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm thinking that maybe the reason why they're not going there yet is because some countries are saying we need more, so we're making it mandatory. Maybe Quebec is saying we have a lot, so we're not going to make it mandatory right now, unless the situation is as bad as it is now, which is it's the worst, right? And they're like, okay, we need you last people. I don't know. But I'm saying it's like a 50-50 chance. I'm predicting like a 50-50 chance. I'm 50% sure it's going to come in and 50% sure it won't be mandatory. I'm still on the fence about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how far Quebec's going to go with all this stuff. I mean, we've gone pretty far already.
In North America, we've gone the farthest.
Yeah, the farthest of the world.
Not the world, of North America.
Of Quebec, of North America. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've already given up a lot of businesses. They put their business on a silver platter, and they're going out of business. A lot of people been closed down. A lot of people are just trying to keep their head above water. Like, they're barely scratching, bro. And some people are to the point where they're like, I don't even care what kind of consequences you're giving us. We're gonna stay open because either way, like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. You know, the gyms especially. But I don't know how far they're willing to go. But I definitely do see like this slow demonizing of these unvaccinated people. Yeah.
Well, it's already started. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The demonizing of the unvaccinated has started a long time ago. Started before the vaccine came out, you know?
Right, yeah.
Anti-vaxxers.
That's how they label us. But I'm not no anti-vaxxer. I'm not saying don't take it. I'm saying if you want to take it, go ahead. But give me my choice as well. I'm taking that risk. I feel like I know how to take care of myself and my health and my immune system and whatever.
And it's your right to be right or wrong about that.
And it's exactly, I can be wrong.
Yeah, and you're allowed. We have the right to be wrong.
Exactly, and my wrong is not gonna kill nobody. Like, and if it does, then that's a different conversation.
But never in history have we been able to track a person carrying a virus as a threat, because when someone is sick in your house, you try to keep the place clean because you know you're going to get sick, right? And you just know it, right? This person's coughing and looks sick like a dog in my house. I'm probably going to catch that cold. Yeah. Unless that person stays isolated and we clean the surfaces and whatever. But most likely you're going to catch it, right? In that case, you could be like, you got me sick, you know? But when you're out and about, you're not going to know who made you sick. And that's a part of a society, is that you're not going to know who's carrying a virus unless they get tested and then they could isolate. But other than that, like, it's weird, man, because it's like, you see, this is the problem with this, though. It's like, you see, I just did what I said about the masks thing. Because look what happens now when you say you need to test yourself and know if you're sick. Is that, okay, well, where does it stop? Where do you draw the line? Because now if you're telling me I can't go out because I just caught COVID and I have to continually be monitoring myself because I'm a threat to the world, okay, well, when the next thing happens, my freedoms are going to be gone. Where does it say in our laws that if you're sick, you are not allowed to go somewhere? Right? I don't believe that's a law where it says if you're sick, you by law are.
It's not. That's why they call them mandates, and that's why they call them measures.
Exactly.
They're not laws.
They're not laws, because again, people would not like this, but again, I'm a libertarian in this aspect where I should have the right to go outside when I'm sick, you know? And I should, as a society, as a person in the society, say, I'm sick, I'm gonna stay home. And I'm like that. Whenever I'm sick, I just stay home.
Yeah.
I know when I'm contagious. You know, when you just get cold, you get sick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that first couple days, you know you're contagious because you're just sick like a dog.
Yeah.
But then later, it's just whatever, you're getting over it. You're not really contagious at that point.
But when you get that cold, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Like, what is the instinct?
Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Rest.
Make that a little. Give me some specifics. Like,
drink water. Take vitamins.
Yeah.
Get sleep. Take a nice hot shower. Get
like
some lemon,
tangible
ginger
stuff to do, right? Ginger, whatever the case. Why is that not the same? Like,
there's nothing with COVID.
There's nothing.
Zero.
Like, but just a couple years ago, that was the instinct. Okay, yeah, let me take this orange juice, vitamin C, whatever, get some rest, make sure you drink a lot of water, Flu, even people would say the same thing for the flu. I personally, I don't think I've ever gotten a flu shot. I really don't.
Same.
I don't think I've ever gotten one. But I also never got the flu though.
Right.
But everyone has their own health situation. Some people are a little worse off, but
no treatment right
there's
now.
no treatment.
And on top of that, if you better hope you don't get hospitalized, because if you get hospitalized, you ain't seeing your family potentially ever again.
You're dead, bro. By yourself.
And we ain't gonna help you in this hospital. Because think about it. If I can't breathe and I come to the hospital and you're just forcing air into my lungs, it doesn't mean I'm breathing.
Yeah.
If I could breathe, I would stay home. I don't need you forcing air into my lungs right now. Because when I was at home breathing on my own, I wasn't feeling like oxygen was getting in my body. Now you're like, okay, well, we're gonna force the oxygen into your lungs. Okay, do you you told me on the news that my lungs is filled with some stuff that I can't breathe. So what is forcing air into my body gonna do?
Exactly. If it's killing my lungs, like, where's the sense here?
Like, don't force air into my lungs.
The pathways are constricted or blocked or whatever.
Exactly.
What is forcing air down the airways gonna do?
And we have the stats now. Over 99% of people who go on a ventilator die.
That's what the stats are?
Yes. Ventilator. So there's stages of like the oxygen treatment, right? So there's like step 1 where they put the thing in the nose.
Yeah.
Some people carry oxygen.
Yeah. I've seen that, yeah.
Then there's another stage. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's a mask.
Yeah, okay,
and then the last step is the ventilator where they jam that thing down the pipe. And you're out cold and they're just breathing for you. Right? Because you couldn't breathe on your own. Yeah. But breathing is not the issue at this point. At this point, this person's going to die.
Yeah.
Right? Because the numbers say like you're extremely likely to die. If you go on a ventilator, it's like
life support at that point.
So why am I in this hospital?
Yeah.
Why didn't you treat me when I got sick? Because we said you stay home, you're a threat to everybody, right? And not giving people, bro, this is crazy because I'm sure Dr. Peter McCullough said this, and this is his biggest drive. It's like, because he's a top doctor. So when COVID came, he put everything aside and got on board with like a lot of other doctors, and even reached out to the U.S. government, saying like, he asked the question, why aren't we treating people with COVID?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what he says is like, he's not sure if it's like a matter of doctor incompetence or fear. Because he says he personally knows doctors who are actually scared for their life. So they're like, we ain't trying to treat this.
Wow. Isn't that crazy though?
Or it's just serious incompetence. That's what he's saying.
Because either way, that's bad.
Either way, it's bad.
Like, either way, it's bad. You took the responsibility of being a doctor, learning about the human body, sickness, and all this stuff, to be on the front line to help people who are sick. And I don't know, maybe there's some people that are doing that, right? Some people that are backing off and be like, I don't want to get sick, so I'm not treating. That's so like that wouldn't sit right with my soul. Like that, there's no integrity in that. Why are you a doctor? But a lot of people, to be a doctor just means a big yearly salary. And there's no integrity with it, especially if they're saying that might be a possibility why they're not treating people. That's sick, man.
Right.
That's
couple that with the fact that there's this financial incentive for people to be dying of COVID. Yeah. Like, so many people, like we were saying, know something is wrong, but for some reason or another, they're not asking. And again, it's such an elaborate scheme. It's such an elaborate scheme where basically those people who don't want to speak up, it's really clear why they're not doing it. Look at the media. Man, I can't believe I'm saying these things, bro. Yeah. I can't believe we're in this day and age where we're using these words where we're saying things like the media is majority propaganda.
No, it is. I swear they're just getting so, like, they're just so tired of telling people reasons why they need to get vaccinated. I remember the last advertisement I heard, it was like, just get the vaccine. It was like, there was no facts behind it. They're like, just get it. Like, we don't even care anymore. Just Just get the job. 2, 3, 4, whatever. But it is. I turn my radio off, man. Like, it's on the radio. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere.
It's on everywhere. McDonald's fries boxes.
Oh.
There's the little yellow, instead of the M, it's the vaccine.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yo, Phil, this is crazy because I was telling you I was watching the documentary for the Second World War.
Yeah.
And they were saying that propaganda played an extremely important role in what Hitler was able to do.
Of course.
And like, I hate to be that guy right now saying the media is propaganda. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
But there's truth behind that.
But it's crazy when you're seeing these perspectives. The media is selling propaganda. And Donald Trump called it from the beginning. He was the first one to call it fake news. He's the first one I heard to call it. Because, before Donald Trump, the political atmosphere was just like, I wasn't so in tune with it. I wasn't really paying attention to it. Donald Trump shook the world up in such a crazy way.
He did.
And it's specifically how he went after the news medias. Because it made you start questioning, right? You started to see the stuff he was saying about like fake news, and you'd call them out, and you're like, and then the way they would respond, they would get flustered, right? And then have to shut this guy down. Then you're like, okay, but now you're almost like unjustifiably trying to shut down a man. Now it puts the attention on them, right? Because it's like, imagine if right now I try to tell all the viewers how bad of a person you are, and I'm trying to sell it home. They're gonna be like,
what's up with this guy?
What's wrong with this guy? You know?
Yeah.
What is he holding on to that we can't see? Right? If you slap me in my face, I'm like, you're a bad guy, then okay, it makes sense. You're the bad guy.
Yeah.
But if I'm just trying to sell how you're this bad guy, then people are gonna wonder, like, hopefully they're gonna have a red flag to be like, something's probably wrong with that guy. Because
but you know, it's interesting you say that, because then think about like smaller circles, like high school kids who, like, one girl has a problem with this girl, and now she's trying to recruit all her little friends
to hate
that girl, and they do. Immature people do.
Yes.
You know, there's that too. That's what it is. It's
propaganda on a lower scale.
Yeah,
it's in the human condition. From the time we're kids.
But that's it, right? Yeah.
Oh.
But smear campaigns, posting on social media, you know, and trying to embarrass like, we do this intuitively. Like, this is a real thing
in our nature.
In
our nature, our sinful, corrupted nature.
Oh yeah.
And this is where we're at right now, and it's insane how successful it's been on the majority of people. And you know what? It makes sense. Like, for me, it makes sense because we voted these people into power. We literally gave them the power. As citizens, we pay the taxes. We give government control. But how much control are we comfortable with, right? So where is that line drawn, right? We want the government to take control of garbage stuff, you know, like
municipality
stuff, keeping the streets clean, keeping the streets safe. In terms of violence, right? We pay police officers to keep the streets safe, to keep security, right? There's no private security on the street, right? It's either like companies like,
there is like city
Garda,
security, like
but
patrol, whatever.
Yes, but most of the time it's Garda, or the police, or like city security. Right? So this is all government.
That's true.
From what maybe Garda, but I don't know. Is Garda private?
Garda is private.
It's private?
Yeah, but Garda is more like institutions.
And it's more private security. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Garda is more like you hire them for security.
Exactly.
Whereas the security we pay for with our tax dollars. We pay for security.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So we want the government to take care of us. But now they've gotten to this point where they have the power because we gave it. Oh my gosh, I bit my tongue. Gave it to them. And how much farther, at what point, like...
What do we draw the line?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think
I'm just watching the government go right now. And I'm just like, yo.
But they blurred that line since they involved themselves in marriage of citizens. Like, why does the government have anything to do with the person that I'm choosing to marry and be with for the rest of my life. What does the government have to do with that? But they're part of that. They're part of child laws, alimony. When we're divorced, the government's involved, the courts are involved. I that line has been blurred a long time ago.
Yep.
They're trying to weaken us. Even now, like, people aren't even working, man. Like, that gives someone a little bit of a kind of independence, a kind of,
Big time.
I'm gonna go get it for myself. Like, I'm gonna go work these jobs. I'm gonna do whatever. But now they got people at home because they're making more money at home doing nothing than actually going out and doing some work. And people are demotivated. People have been isolated. Our spirits have been hit over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, since the beginning of time.
Since the beginning of time, but really driving it home with this pandemic, and to see like help wanted signs everywhere, and companies are incentivizing people to just come work. Like, I saw McDonald's were paying people to come take interviews, man. Like,
and they're paying people to get vaccinated.
Yeah, yo,
big money too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And this is good. This might rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I see that as selling your soul.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I see it as selling the soul is because if I'm afraid I'm going to catch COVID, which is a fear for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I caught COVID before, and it was like a real virus, And if I walk around in fear, by God's grace, I feel an inner voice that says, fear not, right? Don't live by fear. Don't
that's it, right?
Maneuver yourself by fear.
Don't do that.
I mean, there's times where that's appropriate, right? To maneuver based on,
I would argue,
caution.
Yeah.
Caution.
Yeah.
Caution is wise. Caution is wise.
Fear is emotional. Like,
yes. Caution is logical.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good distinction. So, okay, yeah, I love that distinction because fear is an emotion and it leads you to do things that are irrational and almost almost like you're paranoid.
Yeah.
Whereas caution says, I'm going to do this based on principle, based on what I know makes sense.
And based on what I see.
Based on what I see,
Like, it's like, I don't mean to kind of cut you there, but I'll let you finish. It's like people in relationships. People all have the same fears or similar fears in relationships, like not being lied to or being cheated on or whatever the case. And you could deal with that one of two ways. You could be cautious, which I think everybody should be in relationships, in business relationships, family relationships, whatever the case. It could
cost you your life.
It could cost you your life. It could cost you a very big inconvenience. You gotta look at this person and be like, okay, people are talking a lot about red flags these days.
Right.
But then you could also be on the other side where you're just like paranoid and like calling up their phone and checking their stuff, and that's fear.
Yes, that's not cautious.
That's not cautious.
Because cautious wouldn't have gotten you in that situation to begin with.
Yeah.
Caution would have said, I saw the red flags and I chose to go away.
That's it.
Fear is, I didn't pay attention to the red flags and everything that presents itself to me,
I'm blowing it up.
Emotional.
Yeah.
It's just like emotional.
Reactive. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this virus, right, the reason I think it's selling the soul is because when you have decided subconsciously or consciously to live by fear, this emotion, now you make a decision to get a vaccine because of an outside factor triggering that inner feeling. I feel like it's selling your soul in a way, because you're basically saying not forever selling your soul, but temporarily you've sold out to something. I don't know what it is, but it was triggered by fear, right? So like if you didn't commit a crime and an investigator, actually it kind of looks like an investigation scene right here. Where were you on the day of March? Right? And they say, listen, we can do this easy. And you didn't do it, right? But he says, listen, if you just plead guilty, they'll give you 3 years instead of 30.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you plead innocent, you might get 30 years.
Yeah.
So why don't you just plead guilty and just get 3 years? And you're like, you're afraid of that 30 years, right? And then he's like, all right, I'll do the 3 years. Perfect. 30 years was never even an option.
Exactly. And then they probably get like 7 or 8 years. Like,
right? It's like they just created a scenario.
Yeah.
Right?
They created a problem. And they're like, here's the solution.
Exactly. And then turns out they're like, yeah, by the way, the problem never existed. I just want you to plead guilty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you know, that's crazy because it's very
And I have
simple.
you on record now saying you plead guilty.
Yo, and it's going to be crazy to get that removed.
Yeah, let's walk that back.
Like, but it's so similar to what they're doing with the unvaccinated, and they're tracking this number and they're driving sales, you know, and they're putting out propaganda and they're giving us consequences as to what's going to happen if you don't get vaccinated.
Yep.
It's just like these lawyers and the court system where they have to get a certain amount of cases closed and convicted felons. Like, they gotta have a convict. Like, it kind of it incentivizes it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I gotta just get somebody for this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sick, man. Like,
and this is what they're doing, and people have sold out for very minimal reasons. Like Kyrie Irving, I'm sure you might have heard this, but he refused to take the vaccine, and it almost costed him his whole season. And supposedly he was making somewhere like, I don't even know the number, bro. I think it was like over, I'm probably gonna butcher this number, but I think it was like 50 million a game. No. It was like 3 million a game or something like that. So at the end of the year, he's making like
60 mil, 70 mil.
A large amount of money, okay? And he said no, right? I look at that and I say, man, I respect that. Because you're standing by what you believe in, right? Whereas people out here, they're like, yo, I'm about to lose my job for $15 an hour.
Yo!
Right? How much does that pay you per year? Yo, like $25,000. And I'll go get a vaccine. So, and you know, the book of Revelation in the Bible says that, you know, in the tribulation, so basically Jesus, the rapture happens, which is basically all the believers disappear one day, and it'll throw the world into chaos. I'm sure some people will say it's aliens, all this kind of stuff. The world's going to be in a state that no one is going to be ready for. Things are just going to get extremely out of hand, real in an instant. And after 3.5 years of that, like the world trying to cope with what just happened, the Antichrist will say, you cannot buy anything and you cannot sell anything, including your own time. Meaning you can't go to a job and sell your own time for money. You cannot sell or buy anything unless you have the mark of the beast on you. Because this mark of the beast is saying, this world is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm the leader who's going to bring you to the promised land. You need to get my name on you, okay? Because we need to know right now which side you stand on. And this guy's going to be very charismatic, right? He's going to be a very charismatic person. People are going to believe in him. And he's even going to deceive a lot of people that he's the Messiah. Because he's going to be an extremely, like, deceiving guy.
Persuasive.
Yeah, and the Bible even says, like, he might even survive, like, a deadly wound. Like, people are going to be sure he's dead and he's going to, like, come back and, like, he's going to deceive a lot of people. But he's going to need to know what side you stand on. And a lot of people are going to get the mark of the beast. It's just a mark of the beast. It's just a mark. It just means I'm a part of this system. And people are doing that today.
Trust.
People are doing that today. But without the consequence of getting your head cut off. Because he's going to say, get the mark or you don't belong here. Just die. We don't need you here if you're not going to be a part of this world order scheme that we got going on.
Damn.
Right? And so now people are saying, because the government right now is saying this vaccine is voluntary. A lot of people are lying, saying, oh, I was forced to take a vaccine. You were not forced to take no. You felt forced to take a vaccine.
That's true, though. Because I hear a lot of people saying, I was coerced into doing this.
Okay, that's a different... Okay, coerced? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But forced? No, you weren't. The government gave you a choice. It was a hard choice. It was still a choice.
Yeah.
You still had the choice. You were not forced to take no vaccine. If now in these smaller governments are saying mandatory vaccinations are on the table, we can keep people home. We're talking about little governments around the world. Imagine one government.
Curfew, global curfew.
Global curfew, whatever they want, really. Yeah. And by then, there's going to be, the government will actually own probably most of the world because they're actually going to own property.
Yeah.
Humans are not going to really be owning property at that point because the government is going to have all the control.
I doubt we're going to have the same kind of freedoms and like independent rights to own, you know, a stake in this country or a stake in this global government. I don't think so.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So people right now are making the decision to get a vaccine based on the current situation they're dealt. But imagine in this time when if you don't get this mark of the beast that says you with this system that we trying to get going, we're going to cut your head off. Right? And this goes back to, you know, the Holocaust, right? There's a story of a guy in the Holocaust where he was a kid at the time and his friend was injured. His leg was injured. He was limping. And these Germans were so systematic in how they wanted to kill people that they're like, if you're slowing us down from killing you, we're going to kill you just now. We're just not going to process you with everybody.
Yeah.
Because they literally didn't have the time to shoot everybody. It was taking too much time.
Oh my.
So they're like, we need to find a way. They actually came up with a way to kill a lot of people at once with the gas chambers.
Yeah.
And so the German guy saw the kid limping and was about to kill him. And this guy who's still alive today, he gets in front and he's like, no, you're not going to kill our friend. The guy's like, listen, I'm going to kill you all right now if you don't move. And he moved out of the way. And he lived to tell the story of saying like, we got out of the way because we were faced with a situation we were not ready to deal with. Right? And right now, look at the world and its state right now where people are taking vaccines that they don't want to take because of whatever reason the government has put in front of their face. And again, I still think it's their right to not take or not take a vaccine. But you got to check yourself at that point. I'm saying that with love and consideration. You know,
check
like,
yourself as in like
why I like. Have you ever done something you really did not want to do, but you felt forced and you never forgot about it?
Oh, man. Yeah, of course.
And I'm not asking you to get into the details because I have my stories too. And I'm like, I don't even want to share it because I'm like...
You're so ashamed.
So ashamed.
Yeah.
I forgave myself for like... And if I told you what it was, you would be like, that's really not a big deal. but it's still on my conscience because I didn't want to do certain things.
It's just that. Yeah.
The pressure around me was so strong where it could have ended... Like, I could have gotten physically hurt if I didn't do what this thing was. And I did it, bro.
Wow.
And like, I was like... Man, Phil, I can't even explain to you the feeling I still carry where I'm like, it's crazy because it's the same story with the guy in the Holocaust. He thought he was going to stand up for his boy. But then the guy turned his gun to him and said, if you do not move, I'm going to kill you right now. You're lucky I'm even giving you a chance to survive another few minutes before you get into the gas chamber. Like, I'm giving you that extra time. He gave him that chance and he moved away because he was not ready to deal with that. Wow. So... people right now, it's crazy that I'm connecting it to the Holocaust. Yeah. It's just because it's fresh on my memory because I just watched it. But like, people are doing things they're not prepared to do.
Yeah.
For reasons that someone else is imposing on them. That's not a good feeling. It's not easy to sleep with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's even worse than what you're saying. Like, people are even throwing their brother under the bus even. I don't know if it's they want to do it or they don't want to do it, but now they're putting us against each other. Like, you have people taking the risk or making the choice. They want to have gatherings at their homes or they want to be out on the street after curfew. You have not even recruited, but these people, these civilians that are like willing to give you up to the government for whatever fear they have in their minds. That's exactly what happened in the Holocaust. When the Germans came through and said, where are these Jewish people? They're like, yo, right beside us. Let's get rid of these German people. These Jewish people. And you're wondering, like, how did they go from going to school with these people, playing out in the front yard, having a life, to then saying, get rid of them? It's because these Germans, bro, they would actually distribute radios that... the news channel was a government-controlled, state-operated channel. And so they would hear propaganda from these state-controlled radio stations selling these lies after lies, saying
the Jewish people are stealing our land, stealing our jobs. They're taking over. Funny enough, isn't that what happened in Egypt as well with the Jewish people? That's exactly what happened in Egypt as well.
Oh, wow, that's
They
true.
started multiplying, and then Pharaoh got so threatened by their thing, that he put them into slavery for 400 years, right? And it took Moses to get them out of there, and it wasn't without bloodshed. Anyways, it's crazy, and that's exactly what happened to them in Germany. And all over the place, not just Germany, Hungary, Poland, Austria,
Yeah, they were all
France.
involved, yeah.
There were Jews everywhere at that point, right?
No,
it's insane.
It's
it's still recording. Yeah, it's still recording.
It's definitely the same today. Like, they'll have family members, like, divided over the vaccine as well. You have elderly people or older people who are vaccinated, and then, you know, a lot of the younger people are not. And you'll have family members saying, you can't come over. Like, don't come to my house.
Yep.
I don't want you getting my kids sick. Don't come for Christmas. Like, you know, we'll FaceTime. Like, it's turning people against each other on that level as well.
And this is just the birth. This is just the start of it.
Yeah.
We don't know where it's going to go. Like, I could just imagine right now for places like Austria or even Germany right now where it's compulsory that you have to get the vaccination. How is that? And again, Legault said he doesn't want to have a two-tier society, but how is Austria looking right now where you have an indefinite lockdown for the unvaccinated, right? Like, now you're really creating a two-tier society. And yo, Phil, I did not know this, but yo, there are some people out there who hate unvaccinated people, bro.
Yeah.
I've eavesdropped, I guess, and overheard some things where I was just like, actually making me wonder. I was like, yo, what if one day I have to deal with these people?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Ruthless, dog.
Yes, man. It is a divide. It's like the vaxxed versus the unvaxxed. Like, I just saw there was a flyer on your door, and it's like, help stop the spread of COVID-19 by getting a vaccine. Like, they're making these people look like they're heroes.
Bro, and this is like the 10th campaign, bro.
Yeah, man. Like, on your door. Like, you know.
And they got all their hustlers everywhere.
Yup.
McDonald's, freaking, what's it called? Oh my gosh, Sesame Street.
Oh.
Did you see it? Did you see the video?
Nah.
Sesame Street, where Big Bird is like, oh, I'm scared to get my vaccine. And then the little thing is like, it's okay. I got my vaccine yesterday. It hurt a little bit.
Oh,
and the Big Bird's like, oh,
God.
I'm scared. And then people from the news say, it's okay, Big Bird. You don't need to be afraid. You just got to get your vaccine. Get your vaccine, kids.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
That is dirty.
And
bro.
so this is all the campaigns that they're doing to push that needle further and further. But there's a certain point where they're going to get to a place where they can't push the needle on me.
Yeah.
They can't push the needle on you. They can't push the needle on a certain amount of people. What do you do with those people?
That's where we're going to get to the point of forceful tactics. I think it's going to be a point where they're going to be like, we're not playing no more. Are you going to get it or not? Like, because we're going to use force. Like,
we're going to do something.
We're kicking down the door at this point. I really see that happening.
Because the thing is, this is not about, I'm convinced, okay, I could be wrong about this, and I'm okay with being wrong. I'm convinced that this is not about who's vaccinated to protect the vaccinated.
I mean, listen.
The unvaccinated need to get vaccinated to protect the vaccinated. This is not about that. Because we could look at that on paper and say that makes no sense, right? And how most people have caught COVID by now, right? And the
Twice.
Right. Most people, and the chances of you catching it again is not extremely high. It's not extremely high. It's real low. So it's pretty well argued that once you have COVID, you have the antibodies that are better, that actually are stronger antibodies than the vaccine can give you. So and in some countries, if you can prove that you've had COVID, you don't even need to get a vaccine. You're considered vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm convinced this is not about vaccinated or unvaccinated. This is about an agenda that's trying to take place in the world on a global scale. Because if you look at the world, everyone's on the same note right now. Everyone's on that same note, right?
And it's most people, I do.
Name a country.
Oh, okay. That's what, okay. I was thinking more people. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Countries,
yeah. No, on
Yeah.
a sorry, what I meant is like globalist government.
Yeah.
What I mean is like
Yeah.
take all the governments, they're all in the same. They're all on the same.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that? And I'm not trying to make a point. I'm not trying to make a point because I don't like when people do that. You know, they take one thing and be like, "See, that proves my point." I'm not trying to do that, but I'm just saying, if you look at all the governments, they're all playing the same tune. What are the odds of that happening? Where all the governments name? I actually want you to name any country, like any country.
What about Mexico?
What about Mexico? I haven't been following too closely.
Mexico, there's basically no measures being taken against protecting the people from COVID.
But do they have a game plan for vaccination though?
That I'm not sure.
You see, the thing is, Mexico. You see, the thing is though, Mexico is not really on that globalist thing. Like, I'll give you an example.
Because they have their own corrupt government.
Like Russia as well. North Korea. I don't want to say Mexico, but certain countries, they're just, you don't hear about too much. Yeah. But I'm following closely a lot of different countries. What's going on in many, many different countries. Yeah. And I think it's pretty safe to say, if you look at the top 100 countries in terms of GDP, gross domestic product, they're all playing the same tune.
Yeah.
A vaccine campaign. We need to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
The big players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the odds of that happening are rare because we're all different, right? We're all different. Countries and nations, that's what's so beautiful. I honestly think that's what's so beautiful about nationality is that, like, nationality in Canada, we play hockey, we talk a little funny, we eat poutine, we like outdoors. What?
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons. Like, we're different. And then you go to America, it's slightly different. Europe, it's different. We're all kind of different, right? So we're all on the same tune right now. So anyways, it's just, I don't think it's a whole thing of just unvaccinated people need to protect the vaccinated. I think this is a global campaign to get people vaccinated for some reason. For some reason.
That's all I'm saying. Because they are pushing it like they're trying to sell it. They are trying to get as many sales as possible.
They're not even selling it. They're paying you to take the vaccine.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're not even selling it. They're paying you.
Remember those campaigns? They're giving out free weed. They're giving people joints to get vaccinated. They're doing like a vaccination lottery. People winning like $100,000 because they got vaccinated.
Forget a lottery. In the United States right now, I believe it's Austria. They just implemented compulsory vaccination. Now they're like, hey, we need to help people get vaccinated. They're paying people to get vaccinated.
That for me is like, I understand money's good and all that, but dude, this has to make you wonder. Like,
but my concern is, look, let's say you have 100% of people, right?
Yeah.
You have 100% of people in your country. And you scare all of them. You need to get a vaccine. 50% of people will get vaccinated because of fear. Yeah. Let's just say, I don't know the numbers. Let's just say 50%. I think it's probably more. I mean, let's say it's 55.
I'd say so.
55% of people will get a vaccine just because they're scared. Then now we have 45% of society left. There's a certain amount of people who will do it with a bit of pressure, right? You can't go to gyms, restaurants, vaccine passport, can't go to indoor events, Let's just say another 20% of people get vaccinated, right? Now we're at a 25. So now we have an additional, 25 people, 25% left. Now with that last 25% of people, you gotta be a little bit harder, right? So now with the compounding fear, the compounding restrictions and mandates, maybe you could get another 15% of people, right? That leaves you with another 10%, which is the situation. That's the stage we're at right now in Quebec, because we've been into this pandemic for 2 years. They've done campaign after campaign after campaign, restriction after mandate after restriction, and now they're left with 10% of people. What do you do with those people now? Right? Yeah. So they already took away the jobs. So the people, and there was a lot of people got the vaccine just to keep their job.
Yeah.
So
they realized they didn't even need to do that.
For some people, they didn't even need to. But they did it. So they still achieved the numbers they were looking for. The people who were willing to take a vaccine to keep their job got the vaccine.
Well, yeah, because they only realized later that...
Exactly. Like on the last week. Yeah. So all the people who were like, yo, I'm about to lose my job, they weren't waiting. Yeah. They weren't waiting till the last day. They got the vaccine. Yeah. So the last 10%, people like me and you, what do you do with those people? We're there now. We're there now. And so Legault's like, it's on the table, but we're not there yet. So now what's the most recent campaign? Another curfew, right? More lockdowns.
Yeah.
Shutting down businesses.
Yeah.
And more propaganda and media.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to get an additional 3%. I don't know.
Maybe.
But they will come down.
I've personally seen people go from a hard no to, I'm booking my second vaccine next month.
And they don't ever want to talk about it ever
again. They don't talk about it, yo. They just kind of throw it in there like, I'm getting my vaccine next month.
Yo.
And I'm like, I don't even say anything. I'm just like, wow. Like,
can't even lie, right? Can't even lie. That's what you're thinking. You're just like, checking those people. No, but it's crazy because, bro, most people have been louder than me on this topic. I didn't get no vaccine. Yeah, I got the vaccine. Never want to talk about it ever again.
Because they
what
know
about the vaccines? Yeah, what about them? Don't want to talk about it anymore.
Like because they know they've been, excuse the terminology, but they've been raped. They have been forcefully. They've been forced upon. And they don't want. I wouldn't want to talk about it either. It sounds like a rape victim. Like they're just not talking about it now. They're closed off. They're like, it's almost traumatizing. It's a shame.
It's the shame. It's the shame that, and again, I have compassion for those people because a lot of those people were put in situations where they were not forced, but they had to make a tough decision. Yeah. And they made the one that they felt would allow their lifestyle to go the way they have planned it to go. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair, no? Mm-hmm. And I feel, again, I've been in that situation before where I did something I was not prepared to do because I was afraid I was going to get physically hurt, And it still weighs on me. Again, I told you, I saw, I don't know if it's a TikTok or a video, I don't know what it was, but this guy is getting a vaccine and he's holding a sign to the lady who's vaccinating him that says, I had no other choice but to get vaccinated to keep food on my family's table. Like, holding the note to her while he's getting vaccinated. I found that really, pathetic. To be honest, I found that really pathetic.
This is your fault.
I just found that so pathetic. Responsibility. Or even if it wasn't directed towards the nurse, even if it was towards the camera, like, look what y'all are making me do right now. I still find that pathetic.
No, it's justifying the decision that you didn't want to make.
Exactly. And you're still, the feeling you wrote on that paper, you're still gonna have to sleep with that, right? Yeah, it's true. You're going to at least show the world, like, listen, I didn't want to do this, but I felt forced to. And there's a lot of situations where it's not just people keeping their jobs. It's not just people getting to go to restaurants. Although when they first announced it, they got a whole lot of people.
Just for that.
Just for that.
I want to go out and live my life.
Exactly.
And travel and all this. So I'm going to get the vaccine. Like,
they couldn't give up the gym. and me and you, we've been in the gym for years now. And we love going to the gym. Yeah. I said goodbye. I'm like, listen, if I can't come to the gym, goodbye. I'm never going to the gym ever again. It is what it is.
I saw that as an opportunity. I'm like, how resourceful can I be now? Because
with the
time, and like, how can I make it so that I could still work out? Like, all I need is resistance. Yeah. I don't like. That's why I say a lot. We've been convenienced. We're very comfortable now. Everything's brought to our lap. And gyms is another thing. All I need is resistance. Mm-hmm. I don't need like a huge monster gym and like all the ambience and all this. I don't need all that. I just need some weights. But I need some room.
But the government knows that there's going to be people like you and me who said, I'm willing to get rid of the restaurants, save my money, save my time. Yeah. I'm willing to get rid of the gym. I was spending maybe a little bit too much time in the gym to be real slow.
Exactly.
And then, right? But then they keep it going, right? Now I lost my job. And then it's still not enough to get me to get vaccinated. So they're going to go as far as they can to the point where now it's a mandate, right? At least then you're going to only have a few people to deal with getting fines and stuff like that, right? Because if they implemented mandatory vaccine a long time ago, that would be way too many fines given out. And
it would be too big to control.
Too big to control. Yeah. So they're bringing us into like, they're almost like, man, it's crazy to say this, but like, given the society we live in, they just did the census last year, right? Mm-hmm. So they know the numbers. They got these numbers on point. They know where we live, everything. We just did the census. Didn't you put your address on there?
I did.
They know where you live, bro. Yeah. They know where I live. So they know where to find us when they need us. And when they know Mr. Omar don't got a vaccine, they know where to find me. They know what my situation is, how many people I'm living with, where I'm at, what I'm doing, everything.
How much you making, all that.
They know everything. They're ready to make it work. We're like, okay, we know who to impose this mandatory vaccination. Like, it's so... This is the government we live in right now. And and even then, I'm not going to get a vaccine, right? Because I've made that decision already. So... People now, they're doing it.
Do you think you have a breaking point, like at a certain point where they're gonna be like,
again, like the story with the Holocaust, right? I would want to be the guy to jump in front of my friend, but I don't know what will happen if someone like if my life is on the line in some kind of way. But if it means a fine every 3 months, because in Austria it's a fine every 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a fine just once. It's a fine every 3 months that you're not vaccinated.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not just once, because anybody could be like, yeah, give me the $4,000 and then that's it. No, it's every 3 months, every quarter. We're gonna be at your door. Are you vaccinated? Did you get your vaccine? No. Here's another $4,000 fine. Yo. That's US, not 4,000 US. That's about 3,600 euros, bro. It's crazy. $4,000 every. For me, pile it up.
I ain't gonna pay.
Pile it up, because like I spoke to God about this. Like I spoke to God about this, where I was like, God, listen, nothing inside of me is telling me to get this vaccine. And not only is it telling me not, like, there's, it's telling me not to get the vaccine. I at this point I cannot sleep knowing I did that. Yeah,
of course.
It would be going way too hard against my inner conscience. I can't do it for nobody.
Well, you're deep now.
For nobody. Yeah. Some people are willing to do it for other people. Yeah. In one way, I commend them for that. But listen, I understand that this life is temporary. It's a very short life. Yeah. And we were just talking about World War II. Some people had to die needlessly, but they were a part of a bigger mission. Yeah. Right? I feel the same way. Right? I honestly feel the same way. Like, growing up, I wanted my life to be something special. I want it to be somebody, right? The older I get, the more comfortable I am with being a so-called nobody, because I understand that there are some people put in situations where it's almost like needless life wasted, right? I'm not saying that's me, but I'm just saying I'm okay with I'm okay with missing out on a whole lot because I'm standing up for something, right? I'm okay. I don't know, but
I'm missing out on what necessarily? Like,
well, think of all the reasons people are getting vaccinated. A lot of people again, there's a whole laundry list of why people are getting vaccinated. Some people are getting vaccinated so they could go see their families in the hospital. That's a noble reason to get a vaccine. I don't know if I'd be willing to do it. I'm just being real. Maybe that makes me sound selfish. I don't know if I'd be willing to do it. It does sound a bit selfish. I'm not gonna lie. But at this point, I'm not in that situation. Right? I'm not in the situation where, like, I can't see somebody unless I'm vaccinated. Right? And the situations I am in I'm okay with not seeing certain people at this point. It is what it is.
That's it.
Some people are like, I'm gonna get a vaccine to go to the restaurant and all this kind of stuff. I was willing to get rid of that. So if it comes down to the point where, like, we're gonna give you a vaccine every 4 months, and that means, like, if you don't pay it, we'll even go into your account to take it, whatever the case is,
like, do it.
Do what you gotta do. Because I'm okay with not reaching the level that I've always dreamed of because I'm standing up for something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the so-called fame and fortune and being a somebody and thriving, and because they're taking they're in a sense taking that away. Like, I was in the same situation where now I need an income, I need a job to get certain things done that I want to get done financially. And I was at a crossroads where I'm like, this may be compromised right now,
right? Because
my income is at risk, whether I get a vaccine or not. And it was, it took some resourcefulness, but I definitely do understand what you're saying. Like, you're gonna have to struggle, and, like, now whatever road you thought you were on, now you're on a different path, and you're like stalled.
And that's the road that men have to take.
That is,
because we're the ones who will. I'm not saying women won't, but I'm just saying I think it's the role of men to stand up for what's right.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah,
If a woman has to stand up for what's right before you, you're not really being a great leader, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And a man should be a leader of his household.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, he's the man. He needs to be the leader.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't at this point in my life, like, I don't know how much further it's gonna go, but whatever happens. Like, we're living right now, me and you, in the peak of our life. Health wise, we're not married. We have the most disposable income we'll ever have. We have the most disposable time we'll ever have, in terms of, like, you have the most free time you'll ever have right now in this period of your life.
Considering the responsibilities we're going to take on as we get older.
And money as well.
Yeah.
Right? So it won't really get much better than this. So if it goes downhill from here, it should be for what I believe in and for what I'm standing up which is freedom. And that's the road I'm taking.
You think your status of not being vaccinated, do you think that's gonna affect your personal relationships, maybe romantic relationships you might get into in the future?
Definitely.
Right?
It's a good question. Definitely. You?
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I already see it.
Yeah.
I already see it. It's like certain people. I can't really even see certain people, you know, because maybe I would see them in a setting where I need to be in a public area that requires a vaccination, like going out to eat, going out to the bar. I can't do that kind of stuff with certain people. Luckily, I'm the type of guy, I'm like, I don't really need that.
Right.
But still, like, at a certain point, we have family, you know, we have relatives and stuff like that, and we congregate in these kind of venues. You might have to be the guy to say, I can't come to your little birthday dinner. You know, I haven't seen you in a year or so, but hey, this is the situation. Or even when you have people in relationships already, wives and whatnot, and they're like, you're getting the vaccine because we got kids and we got bills and all this stuff, and now you're faced with a decision like am I really gonna put my marriage that I've been with this girl for 10, 20 years at jeopardy because I want to stand up for what's right? You might have to walk that road alone, lose your family. Like, it's a real, and I've seen guys like, and I know, and maybe I'm assuming, you know, but I'm like, your wife told you to do that shit.
That's, you know, jokes.
I'm telling you, like, I see it, man, because
that's really jokes. You're like, yo, you told me last week
that you weren't like, oh, what is this vaccine? I don't trust out, and then all of a sudden it's like, you on it? Like, I don't see someone not influencing that.
And you know what, bro? Again, that ties into that laundry list of why people are getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is that the government was able to target all of those people. So if Omar wasn't going to do it, or if Carl, I'm just making up a name. If Carl wasn't willing to do it for the gym, restaurant, and indoor events, he'll do it for this reason. And it just so happens to put Carl in a situation with his wife where it will jeopardize that. So before it was jeopardizing his friendships, he was willing to jeopardize it. But now we've put him in a situation where it will jeopardize his family, and his wife will now get involved. Yeah. And Carl is 80% more likely to get vaccinated.
But you know what I mean?
And they've targeted all the people.
Yeah. All those niches of people.
Like, all those niches of people.
Yo, and it's crazy how you said it's such a detailed plan. Like, it's such an elaborate plan.
I think so.
Because
it has to be.
Yeah, look at all the pockets that they've dove into.
Into.
All of these kinds of situations you can find yourself in.
Yes. There's no one out there right now. I'm probably the person. We are probably actually the people who are who are most likely to stand up for what we believe in.
Because we have the least to lose.
The least responsibilities.
Yeah.
But even us, we're finding ourselves in some hot situations.
But that's it, because we're still responsible for ourselves.
And most people in our situations didn't do what we've done.
Yeah.
I lost my job because of this. I had to stop going to restaurants going to the gym, which I spent easily like a part-time job in the gym. I loved going to the gym, you know. I was making progress, you know.
It's awesome.
And you mentioned the dating thing, right? You can't go on dates.
Yeah.
If you
can't
ain't
go on
vaccinated.
dates, period. Exactly.
It's what, minus 15 outside?
Yeah.
You can't just chill outside.
What girl is gonna be like, yeah, let's go chill outside?
But you know what? And this is what it ties into. A person who's willing to lose their family and lose these situations, I'm not gonna make it up. I'm not gonna make up some situation. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I can't do this because I'm not vaccinated. That's the problem. It's not that I'm not prepared to go with you on a date. It's not because I'm not prepared to stay with you for the rest of my life or take care of my kids. It's because I'm put in a situation where this government that we funded is saying if I don't take a vaccine, I can't do XYZ. And you look at those XYZ and you say, that's the ultimatum. If you don't fulfill XYZ, then we cannot be together. Okay, you're choosing XYZ over me. It's not me. It was XYZ you wanted over me. Because if I'm vaccinated or unvaccinated, you marry the person, not what they
doing.
Not necessarily, because it's in sickness and in health, right? Till death do us part. Not, I understand as a woman, you want to make sure your man is providing for you. And as a man, you want to make sure your woman is a decent woman for you to raise kids around. But if she comes to a place in her life where she can't take care of kids and stuff, you married her. And she married you. She didn't marry you for the variables you bring to the table. Right?
Those are the things that you gotta love despite of.
Exactly. So if I lose my wife or my friend because of what they're losing out on, I hate to say this, but can you really call them a friend? Can you really call them a wife if they married you because of the way you were making their life be? If a woman told me, I will leave you if you don't take this vaccine because you're being so selfish, you're not even thinking about me. That's a problem.
But that's the story.
Because we set our oaths.
Yeah.
We set our oaths in sickness and in health. And I'm a man. And as a man, I have to stand up for what I believe in, even if it means death to the best of my ability. I might cower in the last second. I don't know. Who knows what will happen when I'm faced with death. But I know if a burglar comes in this house and tries to shoot up the family, I'm going to get in front of you. Right? I'll literally lay my life down for you. And men will do this on our first date. If a man came to attack the girl you're dating on the first date, you think you're just going to run away? No, you're probably going to get juke up and die right there for a girl you don't even know.
Well, I think the ideal man would. The real man would.
Yeah.
But the man of today is not really thinking like how you're describing. The man of today is thinking, how am I going to get from point A to point B in my life in the most comfortable way possible with the least amount of risk, gathering the most resources and pissing the least amount of people off. This is the male, like the mindset, I think, today of most men. They're not putting themselves on the line. They're like, oh, my wife's pissed off, man. Like, she wants me to get the vaccine. Like, I don't want her to be angry with me and like giving me shit. Like, I'm just gonna get it so, you know, she gets off my back. You know, it's kind of like how a boy's
standing up for what I believe in is selfish.
Like, what?
Standing up for something I believe in and I wouldn't be willing to sleep knowing I did is being selfish.
Like, no.
That's what being a man is. It's compromising and not holding fast to what you believe in because it's selfish.
That's kind of the mindset, you know, and it's compromised, but it's compromised just on your side. On her side, she's not compromising. She's getting what she wants. Because you have to protect her and you have to provide for her and whatever. But they take that and they twist it. Because I would think a woman would be a lot more comfortable with a man who will stand up for her and stand up for his integrity and do what he has to do, even though it might mean some comfort or struggle in the short term. I would assume that's what a woman would want.
And the positive consequence will be respect. And almost unanimously, all men, I could say, unanimously agree the thing they want most from a woman is genuine respect. Yeah. They want to feel respected. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you've earned that respect, right? Because we're learning this as young men growing up in this world is like, you at 17, you demand respect. Yeah, you need to respect me as a man.
I got rights.
You fight for that respect, man. I did. I know I did. Right? But I learned real quick in this life, in the real world, when you start getting into the work world and you're just a kid, respect is not something you deserve. It's something you earn.
Yeah.
And when you earn that respect, it's earned through your sheer character. People, when they see your character, not hear it, they see your character, they will respect you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want respect when they have not displayed the kind of character that earns respect.
Yeah.
And tie this in with our freedoms. Is freedom something you deserve? Or is freedom a right? You might think, yeah. And the reason we think, yeah, is because we're so used to living in a free society. But the free society was purchased by the blood of people dying for the country. So it was purchased, actually. It was purchased for us, right? And we're selling away. We're selling it away.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For peanuts.
Right? So to bring it back to what you were saying, I'll let you continue. It's just a lot of men, they will... And I see this a lot. A lot of times people want to know why certain things aren't working out in their life, right? Especially with women a lot of the times. And I know this to be true. When you display character that demands respect, not demanding respect like a 17-year-old boy, like that's what I did when I was 17. I wanted everyone to respect me. I deserve respect. I deserve it. Do you deserve it? Or or are you prepared to earn it? And I said, I actually never made the decision to say I'll earn it. It was more just developing, and people start seeing your character. That's when people start to respect you, and then you start reaping the benefits of mutual respect.
That's it.
Because you respect yourself enough to hone in on your craft and get better at what you do. In result, people respect you, and now it's mutual respect.
Yeah.
Because you're respecting yourself. You're not saying I deserve respect. That's disrespecting yourself. Like you need to be real with yourself and take yourself seriously. And when you respect yourself and you do what you have to do, you get that mutual respect.
That's it.
Anyways, but you were saying like men in this day and age,
they're not thinking all that. They're not processing all that. Like I need to bring something to the table for someone to determine if I need to be respected or not. And it sounds kind of messed up, but this is how men have to navigate in the world. We're not like intrinsically valuable, especially not in the marketplace or even in the family. Like as men, we have to bring something to the table in order to be measured. It's not like I'm born and I'm valuable. I mean, every child of God is valuable in that sense. Like we're humans, we all matter. But as a man on earth and a man in the market, a man in the family, like what are you bringing home? Like, are you bringing home, or you have an income? Like, are you physically capable? Like, it's not at all like how women are perceived in society. Like they're intrinsically valuable from birth, like, and they're trained that way just because of the way they look. Women will get the better treatment. They'll get more favors just because of, and beautiful girls even more. Yeah. But I mean, and I guess to tie it back to what we're talking about right now, is men are not on that level. They're not on that level. They're just trying to get by with not pissing anybody off and just doing what they're told, which is why we have only 10% now of people who are actually standing up for what they want. Yeah. And I wouldn't even say majority men. I wouldn't even say that.
I would be surprised if even the majority is men. Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the people I've been seeing is men, but I've been seeing a lot of women who are standing up for their freedom because it's funny, like, yeah, bro, it's crazy. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. It's insane the times we're in. And like, that's why I wanted to create this platform where we could talk about these kinds of things, because we need to. Yeah. We absolutely need to.
But I love that. I love when I'm out and about or I'm at work or I'm hanging out with people and we start talking about this stuff. Like we need to open up a dialogue. We need to hear what people are thinking. And I'm not just saying I need to hear more anti-vaxxers, or I need to hear more people going against COVID and justifying whatever we're thinking. I don't need that. But we need to start talking about it. Just period. If you're completely anti-vaxxer, every vaccine is evil. And if you're the furthest extreme, you better be getting boosted every 3 months. The thing is, with these restrictions, what it's doing is isolating humans. So we cannot talk. Yeah.
And then you pair that in with the media.
Yeah.
You're getting a population of people who cannot communicate anymore because the media is so polarizing. Everyone has polarizing opinions and they don't even know how to talk. Like me and you agree. So it's really easy to get along. But what if I was sitting here saying like, you're so selfish.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what you're talking about these vaccines. You have no idea how important getting everybody vaccinated is.
Right.
Right? It's tougher. It's easier to sit with people you agree with than it is to sit with people you disagree with.
Of course.
Right? So
but it's
even harder now.
It's even harder now, but I think it's more beneficial for how two people at odds who were talking, we can come to a consensus. That's proper debate. That's democracy.
Hopefully.
That's I hope.
Hopefully.
But it's just creating this divide now where we're not even conversing. We're just like looking out the window and we're calling the cops on people like, and nobody's actually talking about anything.
Right. Companies are firing certain people, right? And no one wants to talk about the reason you were fired.
Yeah.
I got fired. No one brought it up.
Yeah.
No one's bringing it up. They just ask real quietly like, yo, like what's up with you and like the whole like, the situation and everything. I lost my job. You want to talk about it? No. So, okay. No one wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're uncomfortable. They're like, oh my gosh, I see the reality that Omar's facing or that you might face or whatever the case is. People don't want to talk about it because they know the road they took.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They didn't want to put themselves in that situation. So when they see me going through that situation, it makes them uncomfortable. Like, oh, that was kind of what I would have had to face.
They're starting to feel like, man, should I have actually stuck with what I said?
Or not even. Maybe they're just like, I've made the decision to not take that route that you are now taking. So you deal with that. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't hate those people. You made your decision. That's your right to make that decision. Yeah. People died for your right to decide if you're going to get vaccinated or not. Yeah. That's your right. Yeah. And that's why I want to make these videos so that we can stand up for people's rights. Yeah. Not just our right to not be vaccinated, but your right to be vaccinated. Yeah. It's your right. Exactly. It is absolutely your right. But you know what's going to happen is we might get to the point where the people who chose to get a vaccine, one day they might not even have a choice to do a certain thing. So it was their free will choice to say, I'm going to get vaccinated. I'm going to sleep knowing I made that decision and I'll deal with the consequences if there are, which there are. There are adverse effects of taking vaccines. That's your right. But what if you got to a point where the government, before they even gave you a choice, said you have to take it? Would you feel good about that, knowing that you didn't have that right? Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about right now. Our right to decide.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what I'm standing up for.
It could be to their detriment that they're making that pro-vax choice.
Or whatever the next thing will be.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Whatever the next thing will be. Because if you don't stand up for your freedoms, because the thing is, Phil, this is what I've noticed, bro, is like, this is what happened to me. I took we were born here. So we were born with God-given rights here in Canada, right? So we never had to pay attention to our rights because they were always there. Yeah. So when people just start taking them, we didn't have our focus there. Yeah. Whereas people in the past, they did. That's why they were willing to die because they saw the potential of being in a place where there was not the freedom to choose. So our eyes is not on our freedom.
Trust.
Only now I'm starting to say like, whoa, wait, hold up. I used to have this freedom and it's gone now. Yeah. That's the only thing that woke me up to say like, I'm losing freedoms.
Trust. It reminds me a lot of, you ever see movie Scarface?
I did, yeah.
And in the beginning, when Tony Montana is coming from Cuba into the States, and this guy is coming, he's like, they're asking him questions, and they're like, oh, what are you doing in America? What's that scar on your face? Like, are you dealing drugs or whatever? And they're like, okay, well, take him away. And he's like, you know where I come from? I come from Cuba. We had everything taken away from us. Yeah. There's nothing you could do to me.
Still, it's even getting worse.
It's worse. They know this guy was willing to do whatever because he came from that.
And currently, it's the same situation. People from certain countries who've immigrated into like Canada, from day one they were making a ruckus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you saw the video of the pastor. They were coming on to church on Easter Day to kick them out of the church in Alberta. And he's like, you are a Gestapo.
Yeah.
You are a Gestapo.
I saw that.
Right? You hear his accent and you know he's from somewhere where he was in a communist place. You could just hear it from him, right?
You are not welcome here.
Yeah. Leave immediately. The way he was yelling for his rights. Yeah. Yo, that's a guy.
Felt that.
That is a guy who is aware of his rights.
Yeah.
Because he's aware of it. We're not aware of our rights.
Yeah.
I am only becoming aware of my rights now that they're gone. Mm-hmm. Isn't that kind of like our Western culture, society, the way we operate?
Yeah.
Where we only realize what we had until it's gone.
That's why you have that saying.
You only know what you have until it's gone.
That's why we say that. That's why it's still a saying today.
But we never thought we were going to lose our freedoms here. We were so comfortable with having freedoms in Canada. Like, so comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Just 2 years ago, Phil, we had every freedom, possible.
We just living life. Doing whatever you want.
Yo, 2019 was nice. The beginning of 2019 was blessed. Actually, there was a lot of things going wrong in the world. I don't want to make light of it because I'm telling you, the world has been in shambles for the last 3 years with so many different things going on in all parts of the world. Yeah. Wildfires in Australia. The whole political issues in North America.
Yeah.
Even in North America, we've had wildfires, floodings. Yeah. Like, even in Quebec, we had a wildfire. I don't know if you know about that.
I didn't know that.
We had a wildfire. I think it was last year we had a wildfire. Yo, Colorado has their new wildfire right now. Tornadoes destroy. Anyways, it's been crazy. Yeah. But we're only becoming aware of our freedoms, certain of us, now that they're being taken away.
Yeah. And it's sad because we should have had people telling us, giving us the knowledge and the game to understand, like, this is where we came from. As a young child growing up, I was not taught at all the value of our history.
Freedoms. Yep.
Where it came from, where this came from. Like, I'm not trying to blame anyone, but I think that is kind of the responsibility of the people before us to kind of give us that knowledge as we grow up.
But we can't entrust that to the government to do.
I didn't say the government. I didn't say the government because I know most of these kids are being raised by the government from these social services and whatnot. It should be
especially in Quebec, school is socialized, health is socialized.
Exactly.
So many things. Education is socialized here.
That's what I'm saying. So it's the government who's raising the children, but it really should be the parents, namely the mother, at home with the kids, from what the father has set as an atmosphere for the house. This is what they gotta know. This is what they gotta understand is important. This is what they gotta understand is right, and this is what they gotta understand is wrong. But nowadays, kids are not little boys and little girls have no contact with their father. Even, let's say, a father's in the home. He's working. He's at some place you don't even know what he's doing. Like, you've never seen your father at work. If you're lucky enough, you have. I was one of those kids, but most of the time, dad's off somewhere 8 hours a day working. Most of the time, mom too. And you're just with this lady who you don't even know. It's a different adult every single day, and they're raising you. Yeah. They're indoctrinating you. Yeah. They're telling you what's right and wrong.
Well, that's exactly what's happening in the United States right now. Yeah. So many parent-teacher interviews and parent conferences with the school boards. They're like protesting this whole critical race theory because they're like, yo, you're teaching my kids to hate the next person.
But see, and they only realize after it starts getting horrible. Like you, because it's been a lot of stuff. It's not critical race theory is not the first thing.
No, it's not the first thing, and it's not the last.
And it's not the last. But I am happy to see like people are aggravated over this. They're like, you guys are teaching our children lies. You know, horrible stuff.
I mean, that's why I don't even like the idea of like the whole grade system. I don't like it because I'm not comfortable knowing that the child is spending that much time in a school system that is trying to prepare them for their society. Yeah. Not for your dreams for your kids. They are preparing children for the society they want to have. Yeah. I'm not trying to be some conspiracy theorist. This is just the truth. The schools were invented for the purpose of preparing kids for the Industrial Revolution. Like they needed workers.
That was facts, yeah.
They needed workers.
That's where it came from.
Yeah. So now it's the same thing. What's the point of socializing school, meaning it's a government paid thing for them to teach your kids everything you want your kids to know? No, we're going to teach them what we think they need to know so that they can fulfill our vision. Yeah. And we could create them in our image. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because they need workers and they need a society to go a certain way. So if you want to kumbaya with your kids, homeschool them. And if you're not prepared to make that sacrifice, and when I say prepared, I don't just mean mentally or emotionally, spiritually prepared or financially prepared, then pay them taxes and we'll do it for you.
I'll just throw a little few $100
every paycheck. Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. But it's the comfort, convenience. You know, people need to have two incomes coming in the home these days. People think expenses are too high. One income won't suffice. So it's like now we trying to get so much resources. We're now sacrificing the upbringing of our child. We'll throw a few $100s to the government and they could do it for us while we go out and get this money. But it's at a great cost, man, because I really like just understanding the responsibility of the family unit and how they're supposed to raise the upcoming generation to keep the goodness going, the traditions going, the ethics, the values, just to keep it moving. Passing down stories, passing down, all this knowledge and all this, to the next generation. But it's lost now because we've given our kids to the government. We've given our kids to the government because the government now is intervening in all kind of ways, and that's why they were in a perfect position now to be like,
well, government's getting bigger.
It's getting bigger, yeah.
They're not getting smaller.
No, not at all.
It's impossible.
Why would they do that? That's not their goal.
Especially with the nice taste of power. Yeah. And power corrupts. Yeah. Put anybody in power, there's going to be some form of corruption. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely even
so hard to keep government in check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's why it's a democracy. Yeah. That's why every few years we vote. Yeah. Right? And hopefully the party that we think best represents us, like they'll articulate themselves correctly and we'll vote for them. But at the end of the day, if the majority of people say we want big government to take care of all these type of things, we are left in a situation where our spirits are frustrated. Yeah. Our consciences are frustrated with all the things that's going on in the media. Yeah. And there's a number of things, right, that we're not okay with. Yeah. Right? That we see on a daily basis. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't have the time or the resources to do something like this. Yeah. Right?
Motivation, the gut to do it, the courage to do it. But I think I feel backed up to the wall at this point. And I just got to get it out. I have to let people understand, because I almost succumbed to it. I was dealing with a lot of pressure concerning vaccination even before it was even mandated. People were already like at your neck, like, yo, are you gonna, like, you should get vaccinated. Like,
oh yeah,
think about other people.
Of course.
Like, think about your family. Like, bro, don't mention my family, man. Like,
yeah, and the thing is, you know, a lot of the times we do it too.
Yeah.
We come to the table or to discussions with presuppositions and ideas that we've meditated on and conclusions we've come to. So we're coming into this conversation with ideas that are already somewhat concrete, you know, some solid, some not. So a lot of times people will come into the conversation and say something like, loving your neighbor is taking the vaccine. It's not even a conversation I can have because we would have to take that. You would need to, before we get there, because there's so, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, it's like, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, you're like maybe 170 right now. Maybe your goal is to build more muscle and get shredded at the same time, right? And I tell you, you need to go run marathons every month. Okay, but you don't know me.
Yeah.
You don't know what my goals are.
Yeah.
You don't know where I'm coming from. How are you so quick to tell me what the best thing I need to do is to go run 2 marathons? That's not what I'm trying to do. And how do you even know 2 marathons is gonna even if I told you what my goal was, how do you know 2 marathons would even be it? Exactly. You wouldn't, because you didn't even bother to ask me what my decision, my morals, my things are.
So my body frame, my
everything.
My metabolism, like,
and I'm not prepared to tell people that, right? Like, oh, well, loving my neighbor could mean other I'm just like, listen, like, if you're going to come into the conversation like that, I'm not even going to open my mouth. My choice is to not get the vaccine. That's it. And at this current time, thank God, we still have the right to make that decision. And people have to respect it. Because it is still a right. But when it's not a right anymore, and people don't need to respect it, and in fact, they could actually turn you in or whatever the case is, people will do that. Right now, people are, like you said, people are quiet when it comes to the whole thing, you know? So right now, if you're with a friend who's like, yo, we're not going to get vaccinated next week. Yo, I got the vaccine still, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I get it, you know. It is what it is, you know. Yo, they'll never ask you anymore about this whole vaccine status.
Done. They're done talking about it.
Done talking about it. And so you respect their choice to get the vaccine. They respect your choice to not get the vaccine, right? What happens when it isn't a right anymore? Because do you have the right now to go to Maxi without a mask?
I don't.
You don't. We do not have that right. That right is gone. It's gone for now. Do we have the right to go out in literally an hour and a half from now?
No, in 30 minutes.
30 minutes? So we got to wrap this up. We literally have like 10 minutes left.
Well, hey.
We don't have that right anymore.
Yeah.
So when that right is completely gone, how would someone treat you if you went into the store right now without a mask?
They would kick you out.
There would be a serious situation.
Yeah.
What would happen to us if we went on the street in a couple hours? You get a fine. What happens when vaccines are a mandate? What happens? Fines? How are people going to treat you? Are they going to turn you in? Whatever the case is.
Am I going to get arrested?
Can you even tell someone you're unvaccinated anymore?
That's it.
You can't even openly say it.
I probably can't get my own income. I probably can't even be self-employed, because now I'm gonna be going out to get clients for my business, and people are gonna be asking me, "Are you vaccinated? Are you not vaccinated?" I don't want to do business with you. Like this. The harder this gets, it's really gonna put people in a corner. So I don't feel like my back is against the wall just yet, but I feel real close. Like, you know, in UFC when like the fighter will get almost backed into the corner, but he still has the chance to like get out. You feel like you got a little slip, like.
But I'm not sure. I've been in that situation before, and like I got caught. So like, what if on our way out they catch us? Like, we know where you live, we know who you are, we know where you work, we know everything. You know, like. Then we'll have to deal with the consequences of being in the corner. You know. But this is part one. You know, this is a good conversation we had. And hopefully, I know we were all over the place.
I don't think so, man. I mean, we were talking about it's COVID. It's a lot of stuff about COVID. You know, it's society. It's the current things that are going on in our immediate society. I think, you know, as people from Montreal, this is what we're talking about. But, man, you know, whatever. It's an open discussion.
Open discussion, and that's the point of this. We want to have open discussions where we could talk
Yeah.
Maybe next time we can have someone else on. I don't know if we can do that, but
I mean, in the future, definitely, I definitely would like to hear more voices,
yeah.
more people opinions,
Oh,
contradicting
that would be
opinions.
great. That would be great.
Yeah, I want people who want to get vaccinated and want people to get vaccinated. I'd love to talk to them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but
well, that's a wrap.
yeah, so
And we'll make part 2 happen sometime soon.
that's it. That was cool, man.